How's everyone doing today? Good? All right, and thanks everyone for sitting at the very, very back of the room. That's always helpful to us presenters. So apparently there's nobody here from NGA, so just assume that you've been briefed on the antitrust statement and non-compete and all that good stuff. See some nods, so everyone's good with that. So today, I'm Michael Lockyer, the Vice President of Brand Development at IGA. We're going to be talking with my colleague Jeff Materni from the Independent Promotions Network about winning the price and promotion game in 2025. So a little bit about who we are first. So this is a photo of my grandfather's store in Philadelphia, and apologies to our partners at Coca-Cola for showing a sign that has Pepsi up top. But interestingly, when I came into this role, my parents reminded me that my grandfather owned 3 grocery stores, corner grocery stores in Philly, and that my mom worked at the grocery store. I spent one summer in Philly playing around the grocery store and now in the grocery industry, so that technically makes me a 3rd-generation grocer. My son actually took a new job about 6 months ago, and he's doing social media for Publix, so I guess technically he's a 4th-generation grocer. But new to the industry, my background, I spent 17 years at the Coca-Cola Company, 10 years consulting in the retail and shopper marketing space, and now Vice President of Brand Development at IGA. We'll talk about IGA in a little bit, but basically I'm responsible for managing and working with strategic partners to help them sell more within our alliance and to help our stores become more effective and more efficient at selling. Jeff?
Excellent. Good morning, everybody. Nice to be here in front of you. My name is Jeff Materni. I am the General Manager of the Independent Promotions Network, aka Scanner Applications, for any of you that remember that from the past. I don't have a corner grocery store to show, but I have been in the industry for 26 years. I was with Scanner Applications for that entire period, working with the retail side and also the manufacturer side. So over time, Scanner Applications, to give you a quick background, we sold to another company back in 2015. And then just as of recent, probably about 4 months ago, IGA acquired Scanner Applications, titled at IPN, and I was asked to lead the show here. So I'm back home, and that's my background.
Welcome. So you can't really have a conversation about pricing and promotion without talking about the economy. So we'll start with the economy. We'll talk a little bit about what's happening with consumers and shoppers, and then get into our strategies. So before we talk about the economy, we want to share sort of like how we know what we know. And so we've done over time a meta-analysis of a whole bunch of different things. So that's industry reports and research. You can see some of the sources here, everything from McKinsey, FMI, even conversations with MasterCard, Oracle, consumer studies and insights. So all the information that we get from folks like Instacart and Ipsos and PwC inform our point of view on what's happening with the economy. And then there's economic data and observations. So whether it's the USDA, whether it's the census and government sources, Federal Bank of St. Louis, all of this information helps us understand what's happening with the economy. And then we work with a lot of news outlets, publications, everything from Progressive Grocer to the CPG guys, Forbes, Grocery Dive. Again, all of this informs the point of view that we'll share on the economy. And then lastly, data from retail organizations and studies, NGA, BR Data, AppCard, NCR, even some little things. I made the logos really, really small. A couple of large retailers who are nice enough to share their data. We take all of that into account as we think about the economy and pricing and promotions. But importantly, we also have a view across, here in the US, 2,200 plus independents, and also now globally over 7,500 stores. So we get this data and information from multiple external sources, but also our internal retail partners. For those of you not familiar, IGA is the largest voluntary grocery network in the world. As I mentioned, over 7,500 rooftops globally, which again gives us a really good perspective on what's happening in the marketplace. We get asked a lot of times, have you seen this in the market? Have you seen that in the market? pretty much we can see, I don't want to say everything, but we get to see a lot of things because of just the scale and scope of our network. And pretty much we can find almost anything happening within our network as we get questions about what's happening. So let's get on to the economy. Does anyone disagree with this statement? Raise your hand. Okay, good. So inflation was the biggest story of 2024, and likely it may actually be the biggest story of 2025. So the consumer price index, really driven by food pricing, was up 2.9% overall, but 2.5% for food. And what that means is we all feel it in our pockets. And if you think about grocery shopping in general, the kind of the rote nature of it, people are buying similar things in their baskets on a weekly basis or bi-weekly basis. And so they notice a price change. They notice what happens to their overall basket. And so if things go up 2.5% in food, that's on top of what's happened in the economy over the past probably 18 months of inflation. So 5%, 8%, 10%, 2.5%, right? It's all cumulative. It's not like if we were to go down 2.5%, it would return to where things were in 2023. So it's important to keep in mind that, these are nice numbers at a very high macro level, but really where it counts is your pocketbook, and consumers are definitely feeling it. As we look at the Consumer Confidence Index, we've seen that it's declined for the second straight month. And you can see 2024 is in that circle band, kind of going up and down. And you can see, obviously, things have happened over time, COVID 2020, recession in 2008. But we're playing in this band over the past probably since 2022. It's a relatively stable band, but it's a stable band of low confidence. And what that means is that people are pretty depressed about things in terms of pricing, in terms of, I'm not sure why it keeps changing on me. People are feeling it, right? We've been feeling it now since 2022. In fact, we've probably been feeling it since COVID. So we've gone up and down. At the end of last year, actually, consumer confidence rose in December, a positive sign, and then it fell back down even worse. And so again, your shoppers, our consumers, are feeling kind of icky about what's happening with inflation and pricing and the economy in general. And the way that we know this is the expectations index, which is a function of consumer confidence, is actually in the 80s. If you think about it, right, we want to be over 100, but we've been in the 80s now during that band since 2022. So what that means is that consumer confidence that I talked about that went up in December didn't hold and dropped back down to the middle of the range that we've been in for a while, and that's really prevailed for the past 2 years. So what does that mean? So this was a research report that Ipsos did at the end of 2025 as part of their predictions report. So this is a global survey. It shows that 2024 wasn't a very good year for America overall. So 69%, so almost 7 out of 10 people said that 2024 was a bad year for my country. And if you think about the election, regardless of what side you're on, if 70% of people are saying it was a bad year for my economy, chances are the party in power is going to be out of power. And that's exactly what happened. So on a personal level, we asked the question, was 2024 a good year for you and your family? And I guess the good news is 69% of people said it was a bad year for the country, and only 51% said it was a bad year for me and my family. So that's the good news. The bad news is, if you think about that, what happens is that if you look to the person to the right of you and the person next to you, most likely one of you said it was a really bad year, and one of you said, it was probably okay. So consumer confidence, consumer attitudes are really kind of in this blah, sort of attitude as we think about pricing and what's happening. So we asked them further, what will happen in 2025? 68% of people said prices will rise faster than income. So this is the environment that we're operating in terms of our world of grocery retail. 68% of people say pricing will go up this year. 61% of people say inflation will rise. And 54% will say interest rates will rise. So I don't know that if you look at all the economic data, chances are that actually won't happen, but that's the prevailing feeling of our shoppers and people coming into your stores. And so this is what we need to deal with as we're thinking about consumers from a macroeconomic standpoint. So let's talk now about specifically consumers and how they're feeling and the key trends that we're seeing and the burning issues so that we can appropriately think about those strategies for pricing and promotions. So I won't go into all of these, but obviously we just talked a lot about economic pressures and spending. And obviously when things affect you in the pocketbook, that's when things can get really tight. We're also seeing a lot of stuff around privacy and trust. We've all probably gotten notifications of your data breach probably 4 or 5, 6 times this past year with a lot of the healthcare companies having issues. There was, I think actually I was here and I got an email from MGM for a class action lawsuit for a data breach. So I'm like, did they know I was in Vegas and they were just sending this? But happens a lot. Media fragmentation, declining attention spans. Many of you are probably already on your phones not paying attention to me right now. I'm not going to call out anybody, but I did see a few heads look up when I mentioned that. And then political divisiveness and polarization of society. So again, not to get political, but we've become much more at each other's throats and not always willing to work together. So these are the things that are happening with consumers. But really, if we think about the dimensions to consider when making pricing decisions, this really comes down to 3 things. Cost of products, convenience, and consciousness. And we'll talk about each of these really briefly. So cost. So according to data that we've shared with us from BR Data, price, promotions, and rewards is the most important historical driver in long-term retailer results. And the data shows that over the past couple years, that's become even more important. So we think about cost as really, value. I'm not sure what's going on, sorry about that. Cost is really about value. So price is important in terms of how they think about products. So we've seen a lot of trade down behavior with consumers either going for private label, budget-friendly brands. We've seen deal seeking, whether that's through apps, whether that's through loyalty programs. So the question here that we would ask is, how do you maintain loyalty in a value perception in a very highly price-sensitive market? Then convenience, right? We all love convenience. In fact, who wouldn't like to sit around all day and do nothing? I know I would, at least every so often, right? So ease and efficiency have become the name of the game. And for most of us, if you think about it, when you've experienced a more convenient experience, whether that's digital or not, right, it raises the bar for all experiences. So we shouldn't just be thinking about grocery and what other grocers are doing, but we should be thinking about what brands are doing. If you were in the previous session where we were talking about with BR Data and AI, Bob Geisler talked about the fact that he would love to be able to ask a question on his phone and have his coffee maker start making things automatically. Right? How many of us have Starbucks apps? You order mobily and you go into the store and it's there ready for you, right? Those are experiences that our consumers are having every day. And those are experiences, if you think about it, that we're really not offering in grocery. So how do we up the convenience as we go forward? So the question there is, how do we deliver convenience while maintaining profitability and distinctiveness? And then consciousness, whether it's environment, social justice, diversity, equity, inclusion, or other issues, these are all important to many segments of the population. And so making sure that we're thinking about what's important to them as we think about our pricing and promotion decisions are important. So the question here is, how do we authentically integrate social consciousness without overstepping or alienating different audiences? So again, these 3 elements of cost, consciousness, and convenience are really things that we need to think about as we're creating strategies. So the net of all that is the state of the industry, the state of the economy, state of consumer, is that navigating that delicate balance between profitability and competitive pricing has never been more challenging or more critical. Anyone disagree with that? Raise your hand. We'd love to have a conversation about that. So that brief discussion of trends in industry is that we're an industry in flux. Consumers are in flux. It's a very challenging time to be in grocery, but chances are I could have said that. My grandfather probably would have said that with his store and all the changes that were happening. My mom would probably say that with the work she was doing at the grocery store. I'm saying it now, and chances are down the road my son will say that in a few years about this is the most challenging time that we've lived in. But the good news is we've been here before, right? We've overcome issues, whether that's pricing, whether that's cost consciousness, and so it's important to have the right strategies to go affect those. So these are the 5 strategies. So take out your phone, take a photo. They're not mutually exclusive. So 1, we'll talk about hyper-local pricing and community needs, everyday low pricing with value differentiation, price optimization through advanced analytics, personalized promotions, and then how do you attract more attention and investment from brands, specifically into the local grocery and independent grocery chain world. So we'll start with hyper-local pricing based on community needs. Say that 5 times real fast and you'll get a tongue twister. So what does it look like? It looks like understanding your local demographics, understanding your audience, and no one does this better than independent grocers. You want to make sure that you're creating localized promotions that align with community needs, and importantly, partnering with local suppliers to ensure that you're offering differentiation and savings. So how do you implement this successfully? It's about making sure that you're adjusting pricing on key products based on, again, the community. So that could be income levels, that could be competitors, sourcing fresh produce, specialty baked goods from local farmers, local artisans, and promoting brands with locally made price tags to communicate and ensure that you have that local connection. So in terms of what this looks like, we want to ensure that shoppers their needs are met, but differentiating. So you can see some examples up here. So on the top, that's Wright's Market in Opelika, Alabama. They're an IGA member. Jimmy Wright was one of the first to raise his hand for the online SNAP benefit test with the government. So he knew that his community needed something like that. Again, thinking about cost and convenience, right? If you can't buy with SNAP online, that's something that people will go elsewhere for, right? You can see here the Georgia local. This is from my local neighborhood Publix. They have a standing end cap with local products on it. Have the same thing in Florida and other states. You can't really see the price tags there, but there's nothing on there that's lower than $3.50 as a ring for one individual item. In fact, there's some things on there for $30, right? So they're creating that local connection with a promotion, an ongoing promotion, and those things are very high margin, so they're able to actually get people into the store, make that local connection, and bring in high margin items. And then lastly, this is from Geisler's. You can see the work that they do in terms of buying local, highlighting the local farmers, and you can see they've got a really good price on the totes of Gala apples as well. And so they do a great job making a local connection, talking about local produce suppliers. Bob does a great job going into family farms and talking about the produce and why it's in the store. You know, it's this time of year and the fish are biting, and so we brought this in. Does a great job of romancing it and keeping things local. The next one is all around everyday low pricing with value differentiation. So this is about, as much as possible, consistent low prices versus frequent promotions, leveraging private label, making sure that you're differentiating on value, not just necessarily if their egg price is this, we're going to match their egg price as that. And then budget-friendly options for price-sensitive shoppers, while also encouraging premium value-added purchases. So how to implement this, right? Introducing organic, sustainable private label lines to differentiate versus the competition. Meal solutions for everyday savings and convenience, again, taking that cost and convenience together. And then using family-size packaging, again, to create value for families that have pricing needs. So some examples here. You can see, again, I think I pulled some examples from Bob, and thanks for showing up, Bob. Didn't know you were going to come, but I appreciate it. So you can see the Family Meals Made Easy platform applies to prepared meals. It also applies to end cap and putting solutions together for shoppers. And up top, this is from Bob's Wyndham IGA. You can see the 10-pound ground beef value items, and he also does super bundles. So he does truckload sales, he does specialty items, and works very closely with local suppliers to ensure that he can get great value for shoppers. And the amount of those 10-pound wrapped fresh ground beef that he sells is just amazing. And he's differentiated that product not only because of the size and the value, but specifically it's a 90-10 blend as opposed to 80-20 or something else. So he's giving you a great value on a better perception product. Price optimization through advanced analytics. This is a topic that BR Data just talked about, and I think there were actually 2 sessions about some of this. So advanced analytics will allow grocers to find that optimal pricing based on historical trends as well as competitive data. So if our friends from BR Data and the group, just ask Ada. Mike's here. So considering competitive pricing, customer demand, and cost structures, that data can help you maximize the price that you can get for items. And then using predictive analytics to forecast demand. So being able to ask AI, hey, it's Super Bowl time, how many deli trays should I have based on prior data? It can answer things like that and help you understand your inventory and the pricing that you should set. So a lot of things we just talked about, using analytics to forecast demand, adjusting prices, as well as electronic shelf labels. It's a way to be able to make sure that your labor costs go down and really connect the store overall with technology. So some examples here of electronic shelf labels, some pricing in terms of buy more, save more. Again, these were all developed based on a true understanding and analytics of the data. And then almost second to last, personalized promotions. So very linked with the next one. If you're able to take your data, if you're able to take your loyalty data to analyze purchases, understand behavior, you can tailor discounts to individuals. So not just overall pricing, but tailor them to individuals using apps, using personalized coupons, things of that nature. And so exclusive promotions for your loyalty members to encourage enrollment and repeat traffic, launching personalized emails, SMS, campaigns targeting individuals, but also large groups of individuals. And some examples here. So we all know what's happening with eggs and egg pricing. So actually, this is one I got from Kroger. Thank you very much for the free eggs, right? That drives loyalty. Like if you know eggs are an issue in the marketplace, if you know eggs are pricey, if you give your best customers a discount on that, or even in this case, free, that's going to drive trips and transactions. This is an example from our friends at BR Data in terms of digital coupons. So again, taking all that data from a personalized standpoint and driving it into a communication. So just some examples of how to use personalized pricing using data to drive trips and transactions. And then we'll have Jeff come up now and talk about a new tool that's available to help drive investment into the independent channel.
Excellent. Thank you, Michael. So scanner applications, who's familiar with scanner applications? Everybody's, a lot of this promotions, we've been around for a long time. So when we look at who we are, the Independent Promotions Network, we are Scanner Applications, founded 38 years ago in Cincinnati, Ohio. Our founder was a lifetimer at Procter & Gamble that believed in the concept of efficiency in running scan programs with his customer, which was Giant Landover at the time, the first retailer that had full scanning capability. So he had this idea some 45 years ago or whatever in the trading area, took that idea back to Procter & Gamble, and they said, no, thank you. we're gonna continue doing what we're doing. So after his tenure there, he jumped out and started the company. And our key focus is twofold. We help manufacturers manage their trade promotion spending. So we help them gain efficiency, discipline, and visibility into what's going on with their trade spending. From a retail perspective, and what everybody cares about here is taking that efficiency and repackaging those dollars into incremental events that they're able to offer to the retail community. So with the efficiency gains, the retailer should be seeing more promotions or promotions of greater depth and greater frequency. So to date, we've delivered hundreds of millions of dollars to participating retailers, and those promotions come in the form of three things right now. So currently, you should be seeing some national programs. If you're in one of the 8 states where we do regulated programs, we're really big in the adult beverage space. And also we have with the IG Digital program, events running through there. So there's 3 different buckets of promotions that you could be tapping into if you fall into the alignment there. So our purpose, again, is to create a win-win-win relationship between the manufacturer, the retailers, and obviously the end consumer. When we look at the backstory here, when we talk to manufacturers, they're concerned about a couple things. They're concerned about efficiency pressures. So they're asked to do more with less. Their bucket of funding either shrinks or stays the same, but they're looking for efficiency ideas. They're looking for ways to promote with more efficient retailers. They're looking for just different creative ideas. The other thing they're looking for is they're on task for is their merchandising incentives. So they have different plans. They have different objectives. It may be, they may be wanting to do multiple events versus a straight 50 cents off. Maybe they're looking to do a buy 2, save 2, or buy 4, get this item free. So they're needing to be creative and flexible with what the promotional activities they're looking for. And then at the end of the day, for the manufacturer, they care about where the money went. They need visibility to it, so they can obviously look at it and compare and say, was it successful? Should we do it again? Should we twist it? Should we, how do we make it better? So that's from a manufacturer's perspective. And then from a retailer's perspective, it's super simple. You guys want more promotions. You want greater dollars coming from your vendor partners, more support from the vendors. So we look at it as we're helping in this situation create that efficiency, helping the manufacturers achieve their goals of what they're looking for, and also bringing the retailers together. So our goal is to bring the CPG side and also the retailers together with the operational efficiencies, driving incremental sales, getting shoppers to engage, and then making sure the promotions are profitable. So how does it work? And we can go into this later. I'm going to skim across this really quick. So it all starts from our side of working with the manufacturer and understanding what their goals and objectives are with their promotion. Do they want to do it, do the retailers promote for 2 weeks during a 5-week time period? Do they want to do 50 cents off, $1 off? Do they want to do a buy 2, save 2? So we understand what their objectives are with the event. We go back and build a cost volume projection for them that tells them, that shows them estimated lift, estimated retail participation, estimated cost, and whatever the other dynamics are there. But basically we show them front end, here's what the event's going to look like. But now what's important to that is we take that, we put that into a communication piece that we communicate out to you. Some of you are getting those probably old school hard copy mailing coming in. Some are probably getting emailed. But we, as an organization, communicate that promotion letter to the retailers and work with the field sales organizations to make sure that the retail community is, 1, they're aware of the offer, 2, they understand how the event works, and 3, to see if they intend on participating, or is there anything that we can do to help facilitate making a smoother process with it. From there, the retailers will perform. And we asked on the back end that their performance data be submitted to scanner applications for validation. So on the manufacturer's behalf, we're looking to validate when were the items promoted, what were the items promoted, what was the merchandising, if it was 50 cents off, what was the regular price, what was the promoted price. If it was if they wanted a feature or the goal was to feature the item, we'll gather the feature for them. So making sure that the performance is within line with their goals and objectives. But from a retail side, we look at it and say, these are hopefully incremental dollars coming to you for most of the national programs. If you're in one of our states where it's illegal to be promoting beer, wine, spirits, they need a third party involved. We're that third party, whether it's just simply making a payment and running the payments through as a payment service, or we are doing full validation. So there's a lot of benefits there. And then once the retailer performs, we validate the performance, make sure everything is within line, and then we make payment as quickly as we can. And then for the manufacturer side, there's the visibility that they want. So we're providing back on an event basis, we're giving them the back-end analytics. Was the event successful? What was the lift? What was the average regular retail? What was the validated savings? And so on, anything else they might be looking for. So from a manufacturer standpoint, real quick, I'll blow through this. As the benefits on their side is, it's 100% pass-through. It's pay for performance. And the model that we have is when they're typically giving maybe an off-invoice deal, we can show them where they can turn their dollars into far more on a pay-for-performance basis, on a scan basis, to offer the retailers far more money than what they are on an off-invoice deal. When the validation side, so when we're validating claims, we're finding anywhere from 5 to 30% inefficiency. And it's a lot of the times it's simply just a bad data pull. It might have been the retailer, instead of providing a week-long report, maybe they provided a month-long report. And then conversely of that, we find a lot of retailers aren't billing for everything that they should be billing for. You think about maybe a General Mills program on Hamburger Helper where there's tons of UPCs. We find that, several times that the retailer missed 5 or 10 UPCs, and it's our job to adjudicate that claim and make sure the retailer gets paid exactly what they're due. Does that make sense? Excellent. From a retailer standpoint, there's more promotions. Again, a very simple concept here: more promotions, more discounts at shelf, more store traffic, and a happier customer base. So again, we create that win-win-win situation between the manufacturer, they're getting the efficiencies that they're looking for, the retailer will be getting more promotional opportunities, which is they're looking for, and at the end of the day, the consumer is going to win because we're going to help drive that price down with discounts to them. So here, again, I mentioned this earlier, but here's currently where we're working. We've got some national programs. We have adult beverage programs in approved states, and again, it's a regulated space is pretty difficult to navigate around, but we have a bunch of programs there, and then programs through the IGA digital ad as well. So big question is, are you getting the offers you should be? So if you're not sure, go ahead and scan that barcode, give me a shout, give me a call. I'll be happy to make sure that you're on the distribution list, so you're getting every program that's available to you, and help deliver those incremental dollars to you. If you're on the brand side, happy to talk to you about setting up your promotional goals and strategies. Are there any questions?
So one of the things that, we'll go back real quick. One of the things that Jeff talked about is kind of the current promotions that are available. So IGA has been using ScanApps for about 8 years now to deliver unique offers to IGA members through our national digital ad. We will continue to do that, and now that ScanApps is part of the family, we have new capabilities in terms of being able to forecast and predict from a revenue growth management standpoint what those offers will do within our network. There are national offers that Jeff and his team are securing. We're going to accelerate that by those of you who are in the room. This is sort of the first you'll hear about it, but you'll probably hear about it on the main stage. A new partnership with NGA to bring more offers to independents overall. So we'll have a new line item on here going forward of independent offers, working in partnership with NGA and manufacturers to bring offers to all 29,000 independents, not just IGA. And then there'll still be a bucket of national offers that are available across the board. In a strange occurrence of the acquisition, actually, ScanApps works with all types of retailers, and actually now ScanApps is paying Kroger through IGA, so it's kind of a strange relationship, but it's a separate entity held at the corporate level as opposed to the operational level here in the US. And then if you're in any of these states, you get the benefit of the alcohol and adult beverage programs too, of which there are millions of dollars going through. And in California, I think we're bringing on some new offers as we go forward. So we're excited about that. So that being said, as Jeff mentioned, if you're a retailer and you're not working with ScanApps or getting those promotions through ScanApps, these are incremental promotions that you can take advantage of today. So reach out to Jeff, grab the QR code, And if your brand's looking to use your promotional dollars more effectively within the industry, whether that's within IGA, independents on a national basis, there's opportunities to talk to Jeff as well in terms of those opportunities. But with that said, let's go back to the 5 strategies that we talked about as we close things out and open it for questions. Hyper-local pricing based on community needs, critically important, and it's an area where as independents we can win and win every day. Everyday low pricing with value differentiation. Again, this is not just about low pricing, but making sure that we're creating value and value offerings for our shoppers. Price optimization through advanced analytics and personalized promotions can go hand in hand. So using the data that you have, the massive amount of data that we have, tapping into new tools like AI to be able to mine that data more efficiently, more effectively is critically important. And if you have loyalty programs or loyalty offering, harnessing that data, using that data to help create personalized promotions that will drive behavior is a great way of making sure that you're wringing the most out of that data and driving shoppers, valuable shoppers, back into your stores. And then lastly, using tools like ScanApps to attract more investment and attention from brands and take advantage of offers that are already available in the marketplace. So with that, we'll open it up for any questions.
You mentioned a couple times, Jeff, on making sure the retailer got lifts. I wanted to just dig into that a little bit, but how are you measuring lifts? Is that like sales lifts, unit lifts? Is that promo versus not promo? Is that year over year? And then how do you get that customer's data to make sure they're getting lifts?
Yeah, it's a great question. We have a bunch of different data sources that we use. First and foremost, we start with the retailer's data, and we look at that data, as far as ingesting it, so we can validate and make payment. But then when we go back, we have all the other data that's in the market from all the other retailers that have performed, and we also use different data sources like third-party data to calculate that. And lift is basically looking at the week over week and figuring out where what the spike was that we got.
Are you connecting then directly to the retailer to get that data, or are they just sharing it?
It's a great question, and 15 years ago, our idea was we were offering, here's a good example, we were offering probably 300 programs to we'll call it the Spartan Nash group or the Super Value group, because we're also doing, in addition to that, we're doing field-funded programs. So when we're working with, we'll call it General Mills or Kellogg's, their field teams would also come to us and say, I have a team bucket of money that I need to spend more efficiently. So they'd be using their bucket just for that audience. And when we look at that, there's a lot of programs there, 300 programs, and you look at the independents out there, the biggest objection we had was these programs are great, but we don't have the time to do them, or we don't have time to do 300 of them. So what we found was that everybody, they're cherry picking them. Naturally, picking out the bigger items, the events that made sense for them to run, which was super cool. But we're saying, okay, we've got to have that relationship. And being independently owned, or family owned and operated back then, the team wasn't quite willing to make that investment to get there. We tried a couple different partnerships, but that was one of the reasons why we sold the first time to a company. We'd have a bigger sales organization and then bring in that automation. Unfortunately, that didn't happen, but I am super excited, 15 years later, whatever, to now be part of IGA and all the tools that they have, whether it's Inmar, it's BR data, or it's AppCard or whoever, that is automating that pull for the data. Because we realize, we want to get these programs to you guys, but if you can't use them, don't do you any good. So the automation is really cool. So we have partnerships that if you're interested, we can obviously facilitate that conversation as well to help you automate the entire process. The pipe dream is you change your price and we'll automate the process through and get you paid, right at the end of the program. That's a long-winded way to answer your question, but thanks for asking it.
Yeah, I think we have time for one more question. Perfect. Great. Well, thank you for your time. Thank you for the investment of your time. I know there's a whole bunch of other sessions going on, and Jeff and I will be around if you have any questions throughout the rest of today. We appreciate the time, and have a great show. Thank you.
Thank you.